Welcome to another episode of the Managing Happiness Show, where we interview successful entrepreneurs on how they manage to have a happy family life while dealing with the madness of entrepreneurship. Today's guest is Eddie Geller, the CEO of Tinybeans. Tinybeans is an application and a web platform to enable families to safely share the joy of their children's moments and to help the little ones grow. I've been in the online game for a very long time, I thought, but Eddie tops it. He's been an entrepreneur and an investor in the online world since 1994. Wow, hats off. Eddie, I'm very happy to have you on the show.
Thanks so much. Great to be here, David. Thanks for inviting me.
Happy to have you. I really like what you do with Tinybeans. I kind of do the same thing for us, like I do the ghetto version. We created a Gmail account for our daughter, and we send thoughts and pictures and videos from time to time. And at some point, when she's able to understand, I don't know when, we plan on handing her the login. So it's kind of
nice.
Our ghetto version, yeah. But
Keys
it's
to the
just
kingdom.
me. Yes, correct. If she can read anything because of all the spam that she may get, but that's that's kind of thought. So I really like what you do there, and I'm curious why you started Tinybeans.
Sure. So really, Tinybeans came from the backstory of Stephen Young, his original founder. So back in 2011, he had his third child, and his parents, who weren't technically savvy, kept on asking for photos every day, and being sort of lazy to, I guess, email them or text them or whatever else or WhatsApp them, he decided to build a super simple app that would allow him to capture a photo or videos every day and just simply email them. And every day they would get an email of all those photos for the day. And that's really sort of a very simple use case, sort of, it grew into sort of selective sharing, and then his friends got wind of it in terms of, this is cool, I just want to be able to share with family and friends. Grandparents keep on asking me for these photos and I don't want moments all over social media. And so he met another entrepreneur, Sarah Jane Catini, a couple of weeks into his idea. Then I met them about a month later. And then so through 2012, I sort of helped them out part-time whilst I was still finishing up my last company, and they were sort of full-blown into the idea, and then I went full-time with them in 2013. So the original backstory stems from Stephen's real need to share his child's life, and also a big focus of child development, be able to help parents at different stages of a child's life. So that's really, I guess, the sort of the backstory as to where Tinybeans came from, and really the problems we're still solving today, which is super easy selective sharing with your family about your children every day.
How do you help the parents? Is it like a content marketing thing where you share videos, or I don't know? I never used the app, so I'm curious to hear how you facilitate this.
Sure, great question. So it's a combination of, I guess, guidelines. So basically, we'll provide information in terms of like what to expect as a parent. So as a parent, like, we only really know the sort of the key milestones. Oh, like, they're probably going to start to have real foods at 4 or 5 months. They should sit up at 9 months. They should walk at 12 months. Like, we know the headline ones, but there's like actually many, many more within that. So within Tinybeans, we sort of have this guide to go, oh, your child's 3 to 6 months old. Here are some things to watch out for in terms of their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills, their cognitive skills. And then through these milestones, we give them content to explain it, and then provide tips and activities to help them reach further milestones. Because every child grows up differently, and they all need different things. And some kids at different stages could be advanced in like fine motor, but then behind in cognitive. And we find that we want parents to be comfortable and confident that it's okay if they're a little bit delayed in one area but ahead in the other. And Tinybeans really is there to not only allow them to capture these moments, but then also allow them to sort of access these milestones. And then through the milestones and through the child development, we can provide them great content. Some of that content is native, in terms of we create that content. Sometimes that content is brand content. So we work with brands and we natively integrate that content into the experience in a very targeted way. So only you would get it if your child is relevant to that stage. So if you're like 18-month-old, you're only getting stuff relevant to the 18-month-old. If you've got a 4-year-old, it's only relevant to 4-year-old. So it's a very targeted, authentic message.
That's awesome. It would be really cool if I could go back and really see like when Emma started walking and, kind of have like these milestones documented so I can kind of go back in time. And also the sharing, I guess, is really super easy when, Emma's walking, you just tag the walking moment and take a picture and
Totally.
it's being shared with the relatives. I think I
Totally,
really like
totally.
that.
So special firsts are really powerful. So like you say, first steps or first words, but it could be other ones like first tooth, or it could be fun ones like first tantrum or first haircut, or again because as Emma, like you say, is 3.5 years old. Like time has gone like this, and you want to be able to look back and sort of cherish her life and be able to see when these milestones sort of happen. So it becomes this. Some people say, oh, it's like a digital baby book. Instead of it being a physical one, it becomes this digital way in which I'm capturing these sort of special moments in their lives, and they can look back and know these things when they're older in a very structured, organized way. So that's really and also we have like growth charts and in terms of weight and height, which is also pretty cool when the child's growing up to sort of capture these moments. So again,
Oh, you can also go back when you go to a different doctor and he asks you for
exactly.
something. You can kind of scroll back, like, oh, let me look this up.
Totally. Yeah. So our plan is to add all sorts of like vaccination things and doctor's visits and records in the future. There's so many things we could do with that.
That's awesome. I like it. Also, I'm from Germany originally, and we lived in Los Angeles for the last 8 years and just moved to Bodrum, Turkey. So like we're always kind of detached from our family, and it's an awesome way to share this. I really like this. One thought.
Yeah, it's not too late. You can start now.
True. I have to give up my ghetto Gmail version.
well, to be honest,
you have to build a Gmail import.
Well, I mean, hopefully one day. I'll be surprised if Emma's even using Gmail. I mean, my kids are older; they don't use email at all, and they're like,
true.
My 12-year-old, 14-year-old. I mean, I need to talk to them through text or some sort of other messaging platform. They don't even touch email. So I'm wondering, in the next 10 years, 20 years, what are those tools that those kids will be using? Because email is like the fax of the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like an AOL email account.
Yeah. Yeah, it belongs in a museum, right?
In terms of content marketing, one thing that helped us tremendously was, going to applying business principles to our family lives. We set out roles and responsibilities. Who has to get up, and when is feeding time for Emma, or like who gets up when she, is it my night to get up in case she wakes up, or is it my wife's night? And by just like having these clear, agreed upon rules, it made it so much easier. Because before, when we didn't have them, she wakes up crying, and you kind of wake up and you look over to your wife and think, oh, is she getting up or not? And then kind of like this. But just like thinking about this, even if my wife then got up, I couldn't fall back asleep again because there was too many, brain cycles spent on this. Kind of waking me up. So this would be something that I think would be very valuable if you put this is, when somebody signs up and says like, hey, my kid is like 1 month old or something like this, make sure you have a schedule, written down schedule when what's happening, removes a lot of headache, removes a lot of headache in the relationship.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a whole balance of I guess some content marketing, the content assistance around helping you with your child, but then there's all sorts of content helping you as a parent and helping you as a father, helping you as a mother, helping you as a woman, helping you as a man. There's so many other things that are then relevant to you because as you have experienced, your life changes after the child. You're still a man, but it's different. You're a dad now, and that has different implications. And there's all sorts of things that we plan to do in the future, which is helping you as an individual over and above helping you with your child, if that makes sense. I definitely agree with you. Like you need to support the parents and the individuals just as much as them with their children.
Yeah, very much so. Everything changed with Emma.
That we know.
First, it really sucked the first 6 months for us. We didn't have any family in the States and was very busy at work, and a lot of other extreme things happened around that time. But then it was just like more and more fun every day. So very happy we have her. I want to segue into core values. I'm very big on mission, vision, and values. And I saw on your website on Tinybeans, you have like, you share really cool core values. So I'd love you to talk about your core values at Tinybeans a little bit.
Sure, that's great. So personally, I'm also a big believer of core values, individually and professionally. In the business. I mean, and hopefully they're aligned, because even if the company's core values are not documented, or even if they are documented, if the leader does not live by those values, it doesn't make a difference.
Yep.
So really, and I've had lots of experience, seeing companies where they have on a wall like these beautiful values, but the people actually don't live it at all because the leader doesn't represent those values. So, I mean, I think undocumented or unspoken values are sort of brought to behaviors every day. So I'm a big believer of living it, or you're not being true to yourself. So really, the values. For us, Tinybeans is really around a mixture of personalities, how we live every day, and really, I guess how we think about it. Sort of, we always try to think about boxing above our weight, so to speak. Like we're small, but we try to be smart. We're all about sort of the realities, but at the same time, we'll work hard to I guess try and achieve something that we believe in. So. There's a whole range of the values. I mean, the first one's all around mess ups, and that's all around, we're down to earth. It's all about being humble, not pretentious, not to be egotistical, just about getting on with it and being modest. And that's that's a strength and a weakness, right? The strength is that you're modest. The weakness is that you're not good at telling the world about how good you are. So it's a fascinating sort of conundrum sometimes we think about. We're all about
Does not apply to the marketing department.
Exactly. I should put a big cross. Marketing people ignore this one. For us, it's all about, I guess, the precious things. I mean, if you look at the ethos of the company and even the product, we're all about sort of the special moments. And really, every day is a special moment. Some people go, oh, the special moment's the birthday. Or the special moment is like the first day of school. And yes, they're big ones, but every day is a moment. Every day is a capture in time of seeing your children grow up. So we believe that those small things are worth recording and worth sharing. We're obviously all about family, so we live as family members. I'm a big believer of supporting people in the office. More importantly, outside the office, they need to feel like they're connected to the people that are part of the business. And also, we appreciate their personal lives. I mean, if you're not stable or comfortable or confident personally and family, you have no chance of being successful in the business. So, I mean, you want the people who basically live by virtue of what's on their shoulders. And if they're challenged at home, we need to support them because that means they're challenged at work. So, big believer of family and living it throughout and supporting people's ups and downs through it. We're all about trying to be credible and authentic. So it's all about trying to ensure that parents. Sorry?
May I interrupt you?
Sure.
You used the word that I'm working on to remove from existence. You said we're trying to be authentic. Just like trying. I believe that trying is the most inefficient way not to do something.
Okay.
You kind of set yourself up for failure when you just say it. I'm trying to lose weight. Like, I'm trying to quit smoking. It's like either do it or do not. Just like either work out more, eat less. And so I think it's even Yoda said it: do or do not. There is no try. So I'm sorry for interrupting you, but
no, I love it.
And I'll do it again in case you use it again. So I'm really annoyed with this, but
that's great. No, appreciate you pointing it out. I mean, we definitely we are authentic. That's exactly how it is, and that's will always be that. For us, it's about creating trust with new parents and trust with users and trust with all the people that we work with. Because at the end of the day, I think we sell trust. And yes, we offer an app and we offer service, but we really need to be able to create this level of trust that parents and the users and all the people we work with can work with us and trust what we're doing. And that means security, that means doing the right things by you, and then
giving the right advice.
Exactly.
You give them.
Exactly. The right advice, the right information, the right responses. So like, for example, we do a lot of work around customer service. And when our users have issues, we're always on top of it. And we always try and respond over and above quickly. Because again, we want to be able to help them and make sure that we have their back, that they can trust us, through the different things that they're, I guess, going through in life. And then at the same time, we love a sense of imagination, adventure. We love having fun. because hey, life's short and we need to have fun and we need to make sure that we're not always serious, but we strive to do great things, but at the same time we know how to have fun because we're humans, and we're people, and it's so easy to forget that. So, like for example, all our meetings we start with good news. Everyone goes around the table with good news, personal and professional, and it's just to remind everyone that hey, we're human. Like you want to share people's lives and share what's going on in their lives and be connected with them, and that builds such trust with it. So it's about living that throughout across the business.
Yeah, this is very, very important to be in this positive mindset and to always remind yourself on how good life actually is, because we often get sucked into the big problems of the moment where we think like, oh my God, everything's terrible because of this. And we completely forget about all the amazing stuff that we have in our lives, which is, pretty much everybody who's healthy, has a roof over its head, has enough to eat, should be consider themselves as like, very blessed and happy. I do this with a gratitude rock that I pick up every morning to remind myself on the positive things I have in life. And when I come home, I take out the stone in one pocket and go through the things that went great this day to just like constantly remind myself and build up this gratitude muscle on how amazing life actually is. And I really like this. I'll incorporate this to always start meetings with good news. I really dig that.
Yeah.
Do you have a vision and mission statement in the business
Sure.
as well?
Sure. So our mission is really to help families raise their children. And really, in some respect, it's around, it takes a village to bring up a child. Like that's an often, a cliche that people have heard, but we really believe that, family is at the center of the nucleus of what we believe in. And we really believe that we should, our role is to really help them at those various stages for the child. And that's with lots of different things that we can do. So our mission is all about helping families through the journey of parenting and supporting their children. And then in terms of vision, our vision is to build out a very significant, large, we set a vision of 100 million users, basically of this trusted space for parents and families to be able to access content, services, resources that's personalized based on the age of child, based on the stage of child. So today, there's nothing out there like it in terms of this sort of trusted space that connects all these wonderful services together. As you would know, being a dad of a 3-year-old, you have to access hundreds of different places to get content, to get services, to find providers, to get products. Like they're everywhere. And most of them know nothing about your child. So our whole vision is to create this sort of one simple, trusted space that's all about your children, that then personalizes and gives you this wonderful content that's all about the age and stage of your child. So it's a journey we're going on. We're very early on. I really believe in building something out that really is not available out there. So it's the mission of the business to sort of create this opportunity for parents and families everywhere.
That's awesome. Do you also have actually 2 questions I have. One is, how do you say no when you pick certain providers? Do you run them through your core values, or are there things that you would not incorporate? Like maybe is it only organic food, or I don't have your core values in front of me. Let me see. Is there anything that you use as a you've said no to in the past when an advertiser approaches you or as a company approaches you?
Yeah, so we have definitely. We've been approached by certain brands where they don't really connect directly. They're indirectly, and we've sort of evaluated whether or not they're a fit. Over the last, because we're still very young in the business, we've really tried to be selective with how we work with different companies and how we work.
We are selective. You said the word again.
Trying again. Well, we are selective, that's for sure. We're selective with the brands we work with because we want those brands to represent how they can deliver great value to our users. But it's something we're always trying to do. So when you say, do we evaluate against values? I don't think we do a great job against values. I think we're probably more aligning to mission than we are to values. And we align to, are we actually helping the children? Are we actually helping the parents? So when we actually invest in new product developments and features and other functions, we'll often evaluate that against our mission and does it achieve our vision. We probably should evaluate against our values, but I sort of think that because our values were crafted by us, they're innate anyway. But we don't go through a checkbox to go tick, 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 oh, they're through. Having said that, interesting that you raised the question. I think with suppliers, like our suppliers rather than our clients, we probably should be doing much more alignment to values, and we don't. So it's actually a great suggestion we do that. And I think we've selected suppliers and partners in the past where they've not aligned to values, and guess what? They've not delivered on goals. And we have a different way of working, and it's confused, and it's like we're talking two different languages. So I think if we align them to values, it would actually be a much better result, and we would say no a range of times that would mean that we wouldn't go with them. So yeah, I mean, it's a great suggestion to do it across the entire business, not just with certain brands.
It has made a giant impact in my business and also my personal life, that I can always go back to my mission, vision, and values to run through it and see, is this decision really in line with who I am or who I want to be or who I aspire to be? So yeah, I'm really big on that.
I love it.
Good segue into personal vision, mission, values. Do you have your personal mission, vision, values defined? Or your family values?
Sorry?
Or do you have your personal
Yeah.
mission or your personal core values, or do you have family core values written down or defined?
So to be honest, no, I don't have them, I guess, clearly defined or documented with the family. Like I haven't gone through an exercise with the family to define them. I mean, I have core values personally that I think connect with some of the things I spoke about before. So, but for me, it probably goes a little step beyond that. So number one, transparency. I'm massive on transparency. I'm a big believer in sharing as much as I possibly can and educating. And I'm a big learner, and I want to teach. And I think you learn so much through teaching. And I think, to help people make the best decisions in life, they need to know the information to make the best decision. And I think to get to make the best decision, they need to have the information. If you're not transparent with information, they can't make the best decision. So many companies fail because people make wrong decisions, but because the information wasn't shared with them to make the best decision at the time. So I'm a big believer of transparency. I'm a very easygoing and relaxed. So I believe in the concept of servant leadership. So I'm there to serve the people and not the other way around. So for me, it's all about creating an environment in which people feel they can succeed. So that's a combination of, of being open, understanding the goals, understanding their roles and attaching to those goals, making sure that they're acknowledged and in some respect rewarded. So for me, it's like, if people don't succeed, I feel that's my failure, because I need to create an environment for their success. So a big believer of I'm everyone's servant, although when I say that to my team, they don't believe me. But
they ask you for coffee.
They go 3 lattes, 2 cappuccinos, please, with the sugar, thanks. But I'm incredibly approachable, and I want them to feel like I'm approachable. Like I want them to, the cliche of the intimidated CEO, it's like nonsense in my mind. I'm a team player. Like I'm a big believer of we're all on the field, we're all playing the game, and we're all, at the same level. Like there's no, a senior, a junior, we're all playing the game, and we all want to, win the game. And I really try and drive that message to the team, across the company. And then the other thing is probably just being adaptable. I mean, you have a plan, and unfortunately, sometimes those plans don't come to fruition for all sorts of reasons. And it's always trying to be adaptable and dealing with the situation and like, okay, what now? And reassessing and adjusting the plan, adjusting the goals, dealing with the situation, figuring out different options. So I wouldn't say I love, but I almost thrive in the environment of changing and adapting. One of my favorite books, actually not my top 3, one of my favorite books that, in probably if you gave me a top 5, would be, Who Moved My Cheese? Which is I don't know if you've read that book. It's a great book. You read it within an hour, all about change. And it's a wonderful little short story about how change needs to be embraced as opposed to be obviously ignored. So yeah, I mean, they're probably some of the key values that come to mind in terms of, so I don't know if that's helpful in terms of the personal ones, but yeah, I don't really have a document, and I probably should though.
What you just said in terms of, have you, I don't know where this is from. It's a book or an article where the author talks about that there's three types of people in a business. There's the guerrilla type person, there's the military type person, and then there's the police type. Have you heard about this?
No, never.
So the idea is that you and myself as well are the guerrilla type. So we thrive in startups, we thrive in chaos. Basically guerrilla, you can just throw them out of a plane and say, give them a very rough idea on what they have to accomplish, and they'll just like get it done somehow. And once the guerrilla have, secured a patch of land, then the military or the army rolls in, and then it's a little more structured. You have to report to somebody. There's more rules and regulations, and it's kind of the hybrid between police and guerrilla. And then once society is established, the police comes in, and then it becomes very static. You can't think outside of the box, and you just follow the rules. And this is kind of the stages of a startup. So first you have the guerrilla guys in the startup environment, and then once you're a little more mature, then you have the military or army, and then once you are a big corporation, then you need to hire police officers because they just are small cogs in the wheel in the whole picture.
Interesting. Wow.
So when you when we were a startup and we hired people from big companies that came from this police mindset, they had a really tough time working with us.
Wow.
So
yeah, I mean it makes sense, right? Because and that's the thing, you need different people at different stages of the life of a business or a life of a situation, right? And exactly like you've just identified, people will thrive in certain conditions and other people will thrive in other conditions, and it's about really being aware of that. And planning for it is difficult because sometimes you're there and you didn't realize you got there, but once you're there you realize, so then you can take action. But yeah, I definitely agree with what you said.
Talking about businesses, you had another business before, a management consulting business called Unique World. And I currently do a lot of consulting / mentorship with businesses, and I really enjoy it. So I'm curious to hear what made you get out of this business, because I'm enjoying it so much right now.
Sure. So Unique World itself was a combination of sort of business consulting, management consulting, and technology consulting. So I started in 1999, back in the .com times. Went through 3 ups and downs with some significant roller coasters of ups and downs. We grew to 60 people, then contracted back to 30, and then we grew to 80 and contracted back to 40, and lots of I guess in a people-based business, you're it's either feast or famine. You're either like feasting on so much work you don't know where to get the next consultant from, or you're starving and you're like, oh my god, like I've got 10 consultants and I can't find the work. And there's this beautiful time in the middle where like, oh, this is awesome, but it's very, very rare. So after 12 years of doing consulting and going through ups and downs, I decided like enough's enough. I wanted to do something else, so we sold the company. Sold the company to a US, I guess, multinational, publicly traded here in the US, and they wanted to grow into Australia, so we sold the company to them, and it was great. I was thrilled with the result and got out of it. I was there for like 6 to 9 months and then finished up with them. But interesting, just to talk about what you just said about the consulting, it's after that, it was like, well, now what, Eddie? What do you want to do now? And after like doing the same thing for so many years, so I took like 3 to 6 months off, hung out with the kids and the family, which was loads of fun. And then I started to do some coaching. And you see in the profile, there was like Orchestrate Group was like my coaching sort of banner. And the Orchestrate Group was for me this sort of, connection of me being a conductor. And I'm there to orchestrate. And I'm there to sort of help people with different, the violins and the cellos and the flute and all the different sort of, and I felt that that's for me was I thought, okay, let's help other people be successful. Let's coach CEOs. Let's coach, entrepreneurs. And I thought I wanted to do that. Even considered, and I was back in Australia then, I considered coming to the US doing that. And then I did it for about a year. I was like the frustrated consultant. I was the frustrated coach because I'd be coaching and doing all and helping these people. I'd come back a month or weeks later and they wouldn't do the things that we agreed they would do. And no matter how much helping, it's like you can't help someone who's not willing to help themselves. And some person with a lot more experience and more gray hair said to me, Eddie, you're a terrible coach because you need to be the player on the field. You can't be the coach. You need to be playing and building stuff. You'll be frustrated coaching forever. And it was sort of this realization that he was right. So I got involved with a bunch of startups like in the deep end and fell in love with Tinybeans and went all in. But I definitely love coaching and I love helping people, but I do it now in the context of the business I'm building rather than separately with a bunch of other CEOs because I struggled with their lack of discipline to really work hard to make them and their businesses successable.
It's if you want to change, you really have to want to change. You cannot force somebody to change, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
With your,
they feel like they're changing. Yeah.
Say it again.
Well, they feel like they're changing because they're paying you to be a coach and helping them. It's like it's a person who wants to lose weight and pays for a membership every week and every month and thinks that that's going to convince them to go every week and every month because they're paying. Right? It's a classic sort of I'm paying for it, so it must going to force me to do it. But it's as you know, that's not reality.
I don't know where I read it or it was another interview that I listened to you went through some tough times, I think, with your previous business, and you even put up the house to pay salaries. And I think you were in the bank with your wife and your firstborn, right? And and like being an entrepreneur can be very stressful for especially when you have a newborn kid or a kid on the way. And how do you manage this stress, like in terms of personally and with your wife, and like what's any tips for the listeners on how to?
So I guess the way I think about it is probably twofold. One is I think you really need to believe in what you're doing. Like really truthfully have this drive to succeed in the things you believe in. So in back in 2003, whenever that happened, I was building Unique World. I truthfully believed. I believed that I was going to make this business successful, and I'm grateful that my wife, who's my rock in my life, obviously, backed me and supported me through the process and really helped me through, and really is the rock throughout all my life. I think that's why you need to have a very strong relationship with your partner to succeed as an entrepreneur. Crucial, because you go through such ups and downs, and you need to be able to share everything with them, and they need to go through what you go through in a way, and they may have to deal with it differently, but it's so important to share. So the first thing is about really truly believing, and confronting the facts, but believe the faith, right? And the second thing around the family aspects, look, it's tough. I mean, I don't think there's a silver bullet of, you do these two things and magically all problems are always solved. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it was tough in those days. It's, this business has been, tough as well. And also with a move from Australia with 4 kids, was an additional degree of pressure and stress, because not only are you trying to build a business, but you're also integrating into a whole new world where it's not just about you, but 5 other people are going through a similar challenge of integration, and all different stages. That's probably been the hardest thing we've ever had to deal with, just socially, academically, culturally, not knowing anyone. But if you don't have a solid relationship with your partner, that you will never succeed in a tough transition like that. I mean, and you need to be able to trust each other, and yes, you'll have arguments, and yes, you'll have people, you'll cry, and yes, you'll have amazing positive times in the same journey. So I just think it's always about trying to be as transparent as you can be, all things considered, because some people deal with stress differently, and some things aren't necessarily best to share, and most things are. So it's up to you to make that delicate decision, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't know where I read this quote, but I'm a firm believer that behind every successful entrepreneur is a spouse that backs him or her up. Otherwise it's really not feasible.
Totally. It's crucial, and in everything, not just like mentally, but in so many other respects. So absolutely.
Let's talk a bit about family. You have 4 boys, right? It's awesome. They're from 6 to 11, right? 6.
6 to 14. So 6,
6 to
9,
14.
12, and 14. Yeah.
You're a brave man. I was.
Hold on a sec. Plus a dog. We got a dog 3 months ago. So there wasn't enough chaos in our house. So the kids and my wife were begging for a dog, and so I lost the battle. I succumbed. So we got a little female dog, and her name is Sydney. For obvious reasons. We got her 3 months ago. So she's another
Addition to the family.
additional responsibility to the family. Yes.
Well, I can beat you on this front. I have 4 dogs.
Oh my God, you've got the opposite. 4 dogs, 1 child. I have 4
Okay,
children,
yes.
1 dog.
So we win in terms of legs.
Wow. Well, I'm certainly thrilled that you won that battle. I'll give you that battle all day long. You can win that one.
Yeah, my wife is crazy about dogs. And first I was, kind of hard to say that now, but I was against having the first dog. And, now I'm a total dog person. I'm super happy with the dogs. And back in LA, we had 2 dogs back in LA, and I always brought them to the office, and they were like really part of our business culture. So, and actually first they didn't allow dogs in our office building, and I just brought them. And it turned out that the office manager in the building was like a total dog fan, and we got lots of perks and benefits because she was just so in love with our dogs. And then we allowed everybody to bring dogs, and sometimes we had like 6 dogs in the office.
Wow.
And it's really amazing how much this helps in terms of de-stressing people and how much more fun and family environment it is. So take the dog to work. I think people will love it.
Yeah, maybe one day.
So managing happiness is all about applying business principles to family life. I'm curious if you do some of this, because especially since your last business was about management consulting, so, and you're in business, you're the CEO of multiple companies, so for you it should be very logical to do that. I'm curious if you do so.
So I definitely bring in a range of, I guess, tools and I guess approaches to family, but at the same time, I'm also a big believer of like, family, is fluid and has significant more emotion than business, and some things in businesses don't quite work in family, and it's always you need to take it a little bit more delicately and differently. So some things make sense. So I'm a big believer of goal setting, and try and help the kids with goals about, when they start the school year, what are their goals for the year, and help them through that. And that's a struggle because you need maturity, but also you need discipline with goals. But, and some kids work with rewards, some kids work with the stick. So it's really different. And they're kids, right? You want them to actually be kids and enjoy childhood at the same time, right? There's plenty of time in life to be disciplined with goal setting. So, goal setting is one of the things that, personally I believe in, and then lots of other things in terms of respect, communication, transparency. We'll often with the younger kids, the eldest doesn't do it anymore, but before bed every night, I'll ask them rate their day out of 10, and I'll talk to them about their day, and they'll share with me, they got a 7. Why'd you get a 7? Oh, well, something happened at school. Or they'll say a 10 and it was amazing, and I'll do the same. And so it's about sort of reflection. So it's trying to take some of the things I do in business and apply some of those things in their personal lives. Like the other thing I often ask is, what did you learn today? And they'll share with me what they learned. And sometimes I'll say, didn't learn anything. And I'm like, that's totally fine. Like, it's totally fine. You have to learn something every day. But And then they ask me the same thing. And again, what I want them to know is that they're always learning in life. Like they don't stop learning when school finishes. Most people learn most after school rather than at school. But I want them to know that it's healthy to learn. It's health, and I want them to work hard. And you got to deliver on what you say. So I work hard, or I'm to know that I work hard. That I believe in doing something, well, as opposed to just doing it. So I want them to have the same philosophy of, if I want something to achieve, I need to work hard. And that's a struggle, because you're dealing with social challenges, testosterone, you're dealing with puberty. We know, like, they go through a lot of stuff, and you need to go lightly sometimes and not be sort of you better do it or else. So I don't know, I try to take some of those principles from business to family, but then also try to take a pragmatic approach as to what's reasonable. And that's always, it's a guessing game. I always, figure it out. So I don't have anything formal. It's much more, I guess, informal things that I try to bring into play.
Yeah, I like to have the formal approach to just like have everything really spelled out and have everything in place, but then also have the freedom to not do it, but still kind of being prepared. And so I like to just, have something ready. For example, I love to go into a meeting with an agenda with everything planned, with, wanting to know the outcome, but
nice.
I'm totally happy with like throwing the piece of paper away and like talking about something completely different. It's just like kind of going into battle prepared.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny that you. It's kind of funny that you ask your kids from 0 to 10 how the day was. You could almost like calculate out the net promoter score on on your kids' happiness, through.
Exactly. But the other thing also, it's important for them to know, like, sometimes I'll get a 2. Like, they had a bad day or bad night. I'm like, that's okay. Like, in life, you'll have bad days. Like, they need to know that life is not always great, that we all go through challenges, and they need to know it's okay to have a bad day. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's totally human. So it's again, like, the net promoter score, and I'm comfortable getting 2s and 3s, because I think that's healthy for them to know that it's not always perfect.
Also gives you, and that's in business, it's also okay to get 0s, because if people tell you what's wrong,
action.
so you have the opportunity to fix it, right? And it's the same thing with your kids to get this feedback. I'll definitely add this to my routine with Emma, because I want to know like what goes great and what is not going great. So I have transparency. I have visibility in terms of what's going on. So
it's other interesting. And occasionally I throw in other questions, like at the dinner table. You ask them, "How was your day?" and they go, "Good." Like, you don't get anything, right? So then I throw in some other questions that I learned from other people years ago. I say, if a UFO came down to your class and took away one kid, which kid would it be? And they say, "Oh, it's John." Oh, why? And it's fascinating. Like, you're learning about these people, and then you say, and you can throw in some other funny bits as well. Going, did you see anyone pick their nose in the class, or did you see anyone? So it's all about you just want to create a dialogue, a conversation in their little world, and it's amazing how you can get them talking through giving them sort of these sort of creative ways in which they're giving you information. But if you just say, "How was your day?" it's like, good.
Yeah.
What did you learn? Oh, we did numbers, math. That's it? Yeah, that's it. It was boring. Okay, let's try and get a little bit more next time. But it's trying to, I know, I'm always trying to think about different ways to approach just learning about their little lives, that they're living in at school, at different environments.
I really like this, kind of figuring out like which kid is bullying them, or not liking them because they want that the UFO takes this kid.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, like, he always annoys me, or he interrupts the class, or she does this, or whatever. Like, it's fascinating.
Or even if they're depressed and they want to get away from class.
Exactly.
It's very deep, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
I just took a note to incorporate this into my life. Thank you for this.
Sure, of course.
By the way, NPS, I'm also a huge NPS nerd, and I believe treating customers right is not only morally the right thing to do, but also makes a lot of financial sense. So I've been, always crazy about getting feedback. Do you use NPS at Tinybeans?
Yeah, we use it. We have we call it internally a happiness score. So
which it is, right?
Yeah, NPS is sort of it's a bit stale. So we have this sort of happiness score, and we track it across the engagements we have with our users, and it's something that we're always trying to figure out and work better on. I think at the moment we're tracking like at 87% for happiness.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a very high NPS for a periodic NPS. Hats off. Like at Maxian, we had like a 60 or so on periodic, and on transactional we had like a 90 something, like 95 or so.
Wow,
Because
that's amazing.
our support was really, really awesome. We even showed it publicly. You're a fan of transparency. We had it on maxian.com/transparency. So we showed every NPS feedback that we got from people, where they're from and what they said. We only removed it if there was personal identifiable information in there. But I think I just looked, and it looks like the company that bought Maxian, they didn't maintain it anymore. So it's kind of off.
Wow.
Which I actually have to ping them because I always link people to that, because I'm very, very proud of it. Also, like you're a fan of transparency. The reason why I love transparency so much, at Maxian we had this transparency board which showed our NPS, our network performance, our uptime, our status updates. And the reason why we had this and why we had this publicly was, it's like walking around without a shirt on. If you want to lose weight, that's the best thing to do, because there's nothing you can hide and everybody knows what's going on. So it created this self-healing system that everybody was like obsessed over, making sure that every metric is good.
Wow.
So
very cool.
It was very powerful.
Very cool. Love it.
This was really awesome, and I'm really grateful for the tips that you gave me. To wrap this up, I always ask people, what are the 3 books that influenced you the most in your life, and what was the last book that you've read? I'm curious to hear.
Sure.
Your thoughts on that.
So, Good to Great by Jim Collins. So I read that sort of 2007, 2008, and that was really instrumental to sort of, really change the business, the Unique World business, in a different direction. So, that was, first amazing book. Next book I'd recommend, which I think is incredible, called The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack. So he's the forefather of open book management. So, incredible story of how someone in 1983, under complete adversity, was able to create really an empire today under the very simple concept of opening the books and transparency and open book management. Just incredible story, incredible book called Great Game of Business.
Is from somewhere in South America? Is this the one?
No, it's from Springfield, Missouri, right in the middle of the Midwest. And I met him. I went there with a bunch of other companies. Like, it's an incredible experience just watching how they run businesses called open book management, but based on the philosophy of, based on the story from The Great Game of Business. So incredible book. The third one, one of my favorites, is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick Lencioni. Always a classic, and always like incredible in terms of team building and leadership, as you would know. And the book that I'm reading now, I'm sort of in the middle of it, is maybe you're going to call me sort of super geek and a geeky, but it's in my zone of building a consumer product company called Growth Hacking by Morgan Brown and Sean Ellis, who's some of the forefathers of growth hacking. So like Sean Ellis was behind Dropbox. Dropbox was a massive growth. So growth hacking is all around the philosophies of trying to find your growth engine in a consumer or any business, really. So yeah, I'm reading that now. So different books that I've read before.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Very, very grateful for always looking for good book tips. I dropped out of school at a very young age, and but I was always hungry to learn, and I consume like 2 or 3 books a month or so. So
wow,
always
that's impressive. That's great.
The trick is to listen to them on Audible and listen to them on 1.5 or 2, depending how fast the narrator is. And then, like while walking the dogs, driving around, etc., I get my books in.
You're right. I should do that.
How it works. Well, awesome. Eddie, this was awesome. Thank you very much for being on.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate this.
Thank you. It's been lots of fun.
Any shout outs, any open positions, any free downloads, any whatever that you want to share with the world?
Sure. Always up for that. So I guess first of all, shout out to you for giving me the time to get to know you and learn from you. I also wrote a bunch of things down. So thank you so much. It's been lots of fun talking to you, and getting to know you, and loving hearing about your philosophy of happiness both in life, in life, business and family. So that's awesome. In terms of the business, look, I guess Tinybeans would love any parents to sort of sign up and get into it. It's not like, it's that we want you to feel so happy in your family, to feel so thrilled that you're doing it, because the emotion we get, the output we get from families, and how it really changes their lives, feeling connected, is just incredible. So we want all families to feel this and be part of, obviously, their child's growing up, and yes, it's a free download. Look, a shout out to my team, because we'd be nowhere without their hard work and determination, and more importantly, mission to deliver on something that they believe in. We have lots of open roles in New York, so we're looking for superstars all the time. So just head to our website, and there's a careers page, and there's lots of open roles, and would love superstars to be applying. We're early days from a big mission that we have.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck with Tinybeans. Take care. Bye.